Hey guys, so this is going to be a little different than my usual videos. It's not going to be it's going to be an informational video, but it's not going to be like a super researched one. As you can see, the settings a little different. You're seeing my desktop and you're seeing me in the corner. The reason why I'm doing this is because something recently happened that I feel like I need to talk about, but there really isn't too much for me to do in terms of videos, so I figured I would just go through all of the tweets that have happened, what's going on, and then there you go. So what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is the recent announcement that Stardom made that they got a new member. Now, usually this is good for people because, a new person in a promotion is usually an exciting time, but here it's causing some problems, and the reason for that is because of how it happened. Now, usually when a wrestler leaves a promotion and goes to another promotion, they tend to announce that they're leaving ahead of time, considerably ahead of time, and then they leave, they be a freelancer for a little bit, and then they sign to the new promotion. Unfortunately, this time it seems they did every single thing wrong. And there's a lot of he said, she said's going on right now, so we don't even know what's going on, really. So what happened is Giulia from Ice Ribbon recently announced that she was going to Stardom. Or not Stardom. She recently announced that she was leaving Ice Ribbon. Now, if you see here, there is a tweet made by her on 4:52 p.m. of October 13th, so yesterday, saying, and this is Google Translate, so bear with me, says, "It was a sudden announcement, but I left the Ice Ribbon on October 13th. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of the players, staff, and fans for their warm guidance and support. I will continue to move on toward a new future." And then she also uploaded a picture here, which I translated here. It's basically saying it will be a sudden announcement, but it has been withdrawn from the ice board as of October 13th. Google Translate, everybody. It's basically saying pretty much the same thing she said in the tweet, except for there's a little bit added here. "I would like to thank you for this opportunity. In addition to the sudden announcements, I would like to thank you for the inconveniences in matches." Basically, she adds a little bit more, saying she's sorry that, the short-term notice. Now, this in and of itself really wouldn't be too much. She's just announcing that she's leaving. But if you look at the time here, 4:52 p.m. October 13th, that is when she uploaded that. Then, a couple hours later at 8:36 p.m., Tsukasa Fujimoto, who is one of the higher-ups in Ice Ribbon, basically as close to management if she's not actually management. She's one of the people in charge, essentially. She tweeted out, "I'm sorry to hear that you made a noise from the morning. I am confused myself. The fact is currently being confirmed, so if you can confirm it, we will officially release it." And then she just goes on to say that she's continuing on with her schedule. This implies that this tweet is the first that one of the higher-ups in the company is even hearing about her leaving. Now, that everything that I've read and seen so far seems to insinuate that no one in the company except for the owners knew that she even wanted to leave. Now, if we go on to the next tweet that I have marked here, 9:56 p.m., so only about an hour after this, it was announced that Giulia is joining Stardom. Now, if you do the time here, that means from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., 5 hours, she signed to a new promotion after announcing leaving. Now, obviously, this means that they have been talking quite a bit before that, because there's no way that her announcing on Twitter to her arriving at a Stardom show, and this is because she arrived at a Stardom show. This isn't just them saying, "Hey, we just picked up someone." No, she was at the Stardom show in 5 hours from her announcement. That's almost Hideo Kojima levels of obvious that they were in talks beforehand. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Hideo Kojima got fired from Konami, and literally the same day it was announced, Sony announced that they were hiring him. So if you see here, this is what's causing a little bit of controversy. You can probably see already. It's insinuating that Stardom and Giulia were in talks before even her own company knew that she was going to leave. But there's more to this story. Going on to what I'm assuming is one of the leaders of Ice Ribbon. Everyone's been linking to this Twitter account when saying, like, Ice Ribbon has responded. So this has to be one of the higher-ups. So at 9:59 p.m., literally a couple minutes after the English Stardom account tweeted that Giulia was there, meaning that Ice Ribbon heard about Giulia being at Stardom as it was happening. They tweeted out, "Yesterday, Giulia gave me an offer to leave. And I talked about it, and I was confused by the tweet that I was talking about adjusting the time of withdrawal, due to Saya's postponement of retirement and fixed participation. We will officially release it after confirming and adjusting the participation schedule." Now this here is implying that management knew since yesterday that she wanted to leave, and that they were going to put it off until Saya's going away ceremony could take place. Saya was Giulia's partner, and she's recently announced that she was retiring and leaving wrestling altogether. Now, this can be taken a couple of different ways. This could either be taken that they wanted to announce her leaving at Saya's ceremony, or it could be taken that they didn't want to let her go until they got all of the stuff with Saya done. So they didn't even want to talk about it until Saya's whole departure was finished. It could be taken either way. It really depends on how you feel about Ice Ribbon, because one way is giving him the benefit of the doubt, and the other way is kind of insinuating that there's sinister feelings there. Take that with what you will. In my opinion, I'm personally taking this as they didn't want to deal with Giulia's request until they figured all of this out. And unfortunately, in my opinion, that makes Ice Ribbon look a little bit bad in this situation, but that's just business. If they didn't want to deal with someone's contract termination at the same time someone else was retiring, I completely understand that. Now, they did this at 9:59 p.m. A couple minutes later, around maybe 10 minutes later, they also tweeted this: "What does it mean to join another organization while maintaining the employment contract with the company, employee status? There is a way to send it with a smile no matter what way. Why do you force a lie to a lie?" Now, obviously, Google butchered that, but what we're getting out of this is that Giulia is still under contract to Ice Ribbon, and that her announcing her signing to Stardom obviously is conflicting with the contract that she's already in. They're also implying here that they don't like the way that she did it by just kind of announcing it like that. This gives Ice Ribbon a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt here, that maybe they were planning on letting her go. They just didn't want to deal with it at this time. But this also opens up a whole nother can of worms in the fact that Giulia could very well still be under legal contract to Ice Ribbon. What does that mean for this whole situation? It could mean a lot of things. It could mean that Rossi could be sued for contract tampering. It could also mean that he's actively trying to poach people from other promotions. It could also mean that Ice Ribbon is lying, because Ice Ribbon could very well be lying that she's still technically under contract. Or it could also be taken this way, that Giulia thought that she had been giving the okay to be out of her contract and went and signed with Stardom. But the fact that they're claiming that the first time she brought it up to them was yesterday, it's kind of hard to believe that, if you're going to take their word for it, that she was able to go and talk to Stardom and sign a new contract with them all in one day like that. That just seems a little fishy if yesterday was really the first time Giulia brought it up with them. Now, with that said, this all happened in about 5 hours. All of that happened. But then we have here, I'm not entirely sure who this person is. It says the co-owner of Cage Match. And I don't know how reliable they are, but people seem to be referencing this tweet in terms of what Rossi had to say. And as you can see, it says, I heard there was no contract between Ice Ribbon and Giulia. Now, this opens up a whole nother can of worms in the fact that if we're taking everyone at their word, both companies, Ice Ribbon and Stardom, the person here who's causing all the controversy is Giulia. Because Giulia, in this scenario, Giulia lied to Stardom that her contract was up. And that's why they signed her. Now, as you can see why this is such a controversy and so muddled, is that it's a bunch of he said, she said. We have 3 different people saying 3 different things. It's getting really, really confusing here. But this was about, like an hour and a half later. Now, as we all know, Manami Toyota is very, very opinionated in her actions. And here we have her butting in. I shouldn't say butting in because she has every right to weigh in because she is just as much as part of Ice Ribbon as all these other people. At 12:23 a.m. of today, at the time of me recording this, she says, I'll tell you in flames, but I can't keep up with Giulia's action this time. There are things in order since the Ice Ribbon is a different organization than that organization. It will be sent out properly if it is discussed. This seems to insinuate that Manami understands that not everything is out yet. The way that they handle things, Stardom, and the way Ice Ribbon handles things could be completely different, and they just want to talk it out. This is making Manami look like a very well-respected and, calm-minded person in this situation, which is very nice. If I am interpreting it the right way based on this Google translation, then I do want to give her props because she seems to be trying to make sense of all of this craziness. But then right after, she started tweeting more, saying, giving her in, she's saying, I also left Gaia Japan the next day after leaving the All Japan Pro Wrestling's decades ago. Basically showing that just because Giulia was able to go to another promotion literally the next day, that doesn't necessarily mean that something's afoot. She herself had done it in the past, and she can't really weigh in on whether that was a good or a bad thing, or at least I hope so, based on the fact that she did it before. Then she goes on to say, like a couple minutes later, flipping a little bit here, I'd have to say, I always take off my hat in the dirty way of pulling Stardom. That's a really terrible translation, but what I'm taking it as is she's calling Stardom very dirty in the way that they stole Giulia from them. And this kind of rubs me the wrong way because her first 2 tweets seemed kind of good intentioned, but then all of a sudden, a minute later, she's talking trash about Stardom. I mean, if what her previous tweet is true, then she basically did the same thing Giulia's doing now, which would make the promotion she went to trash in that situation. Because that's what she's insinuating here, is that Rossi and Stardom are dirty and they're doing underhanded tactics. Now, the fact that these 2 tweets here are so soon after one another, I can't think she got any too relevant information in this time to change her opinion, but it's possible. I mean, it is like 2 minutes. Could very well only be 1 minute based on how it's recorded. Like, this could be 12:23:59, And then she finishes off with saying, he did something unreasonable, but he just hopes Giulia will flutter in the future. This could be taken a lot of different ways. I want to kind of give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she's kind of agreeing to disagree in this situation where she's like, I don't like what he did, but I can see why, because he hopes Giulia is going to be, a star in the future. And, that's also a respectable take on it if that's what she really means based on this translation. As you can see, a lot of stuff just went down. And no one knows anything yet, but there seems to be a kind of crusade against Stardom in general. And just Stardom. It doesn't seem like anybody's really taking into account why Giulia wanted to leave. Everyone's just assuming that Rossi threw money at her and she decided to backstab everyone and just peace out. And I don't want to believe that that's true, not because Stardom's not capable of it, but because that's saying bad things about Giulia as well, because it's insinuating that she's willing to backstab anybody just for a couple extra dollars. I don't really know too much about her other than the fact that she was trained by Ice Ribbon. She was taken under the wing of Tsukasa Fujimoto. She was booked to be pretty well strength-wise in terms there. She was kind of being groomed to be one of the top people in a couple of years in that promotion. And with that being said, something had to have made her want to leave. I have a couple of theories here, and one of them is that maybe she just wasn't happy in Ice Ribbon. Maybe something happened there that soured her to Ice Ribbon as a company. If you really look at it, just because everything looks, nice and clean on the outside doesn't mean that that's true once you start digging deeper. Maybe she was ostracized by the cast. Maybe she was sad that her teammate was leaving and she didn't want to keep working for that company. There are a lot of different reasons why she would want to leave. And I think that's important to bring up because a lot of people are assuming, they're kind of taking this assumption as fact that Stardom poached her. Now, that is a very good possibility based on how fast things moved and how it happened. But I just want to take a moment to say another route that could have happened, in that Giulia searched out Stardom and not the other way around. If Giulia wanted to leave, she could have very well wanted to go to Stardom, and Stardom could have just been willing to take her. In my opinion, that's much better than the whole poaching thing. Sure, they are taking someone from another promotion, but how it happened is really important because it implies intent. Is Stardom purposely poaching people, or are people who are unhappy with their promotions more likely to go to Stardom? You look at Miyagi, you look at Giulia now. People obviously want to come to Stardom. A lot of people are saying it's because of the money and the recognition, which could very well be true. I just think that people shouldn't really say one way or the other definitively unless some new information came out, because the information we have now doesn't mean much. Now, moving on to one thing I do want to say. The other reason I think that she could have wanted to go to Stardom is that she's also half Japanese, half non-Japanese, like Hana is. If I remember correctly, I believe she's half Italian, half Japanese. She might even be less than half Japanese. I'm not entirely sure on that. I didn't really look too much into her before all of this happened. And if you take Hana's reason for choosing Stardom is that they're very inclusive to foreigners and they're very open to the foreigner idea. Maybe Giulia just wanted to go somewhere where she felt like she could belong, in that instance, and this isn't, I'm not trying to throw shade at Ice Ribbon and say that they were treating her bad because she was white, No. I'm just saying that apparently, from what I remember, she kind of had the same childhood as Hana did, in the fact that she got a lot of crap for being half Japanese. And I could see her wanting to go somewhere where she could feel a little bit more comfortable. Oof. Now, with all of that said, I want to move on to why this is causing even more of a controversy than usual. And that's because Ice Ribbon and Stardom have not been on good terms for a while now. A couple years, probably since somewhere in 2017, I think. And the reason for that is pretty interesting. Before I switch over to my other tabs that I have open, the one thing I want to mention I think might be the catalyst to all of this is that Stardom and Ice Ribbon were going to have this kind of co-op event. And they were going to have Thunder Rock and the Best Friends go at each other in a match. And from my understanding, and the reason why I'm not showing anything for this is because I couldn't find anything on it, just people saying things like on Reddit. Like there was no articles, no links to tweets or anything like that. So I'm just saying this, take this with a grain of salt. Apparently, they were setting this up. It was supposed to be a co-op, and Thunder Rock were supposed to win, I believe, and that was the agreed upon ending. And then as the time came around for the match to happen, apparently Ice Ribbon decided to go back on that and say that the Best Friends should win. And that caused Stardom to be upset because, they had already agreed upon it and, an ending, and now they're changing it all of a sudden in their benefit. And if we're to take that as true, then that means Ice Ribbon basically took back an ending that they had promised to, and that ticked off Stardom because Ice Ribbon was maybe trying to take advantage of Stardom's weaker position at this time, but Stardom wouldn't take that and basically pulled out of the match. Now, this is all he said, she said from what I can see, so take that with a grain of salt. It could just as well be Stardom's fault as Ice Ribbon's. But either way, that's kind of where, from my understanding, the tension started with these two promotions. Now, moving over to another incident in that, they're both the same thing, is that back in 2017, it looks like on July 24th, there was an incident of Tsukushi and Kagetsu. And apparently a fight happened and Tsukushi attempted to, at least attempted to, stab Kagetsu with a knife in this confrontation at an Ice Ribbon event, I believe. And this is just crazy, in my opinion. Now, at this time, I don't believe... Kagetsu wasn't signed to Stardom yet, but she had kind of been primarily wrestling there for the most part. I think this might have been around the time that she had started choosing Stardom, more often than not. So this whole event happened, causing a little bit more conflict between the two promotions, because you have, one promotion, Stardom, who is backing Kagetsu, and then you have the other promotion, Ice Ribbon, who is backing Tsukushi. Of course, none of the names are said or anything like that because they're trying to keep it hidden, but they released the ages of both people, and through some snooping work that a lot of people did, it was pretty clear that they were talking about Tsukushi and Kagetsu, and this is just crazy to me. So as you can see, already there was a lot of between these two companies. And then you have here, props to this person for translating this tweet. Now, if you guys remember, I've talked about it a couple times about the B. Priestley controversy with Ice Ribbon and her move, the Queen's Landing. Her Queen's Landing is a move called the Japanese Ocean Cyclone Suplex, which was innovated and created by Manami Toyota. Now, what happened was after she used it and won with it, Manami Toyota found out and was a little upset. Basically, this translation is, who is this? B. Priestley? She used Japanese Ocean Cyclone Suplex in the match, right? I have handed over that move to only them, Tsukasa Fujimoto and Ikuto Hidaka. These two people, in her opinion, are the only people who should be able to use it. Don't use my special move without permission. Whew. Now, if you guys remember, this caused a lot of controversy at the time because, people seemed to pick one side or the other. They felt that you should have to ask people to use moves that they've innovated. And then the other half are like, it's a move. You don't own the move. Yeah, you innovated it, but you don't own the move. Did you ask every wrestler about every move that you wanted to use? Did you go and ask the people who innovated the dropkick or whatever? Things like that. And people, this was quite a controversy online, from what I remember. amongst the people. It seemed that most wrestlers, Japanese wrestlers, were taking B side, not specifically taking B side, but taking the side of not needing to ask. And then a couple were taking Manami's side. It seemed like most people online, from foreign perspective at least, were taking B's side as well. But there was a small vocal minority that was, taking Manami's side. So it wasn't really, overwhelming one side or the other. And this kind of seemed like a big, FU to Ice Ribbon from Stardom, because after this happened, not only did B not stop using it, she used it even more, and then named it a new move, or gave it a new name, claiming like it's her move now. It's whether you agree with what happened or not. I personally was on B's side in this situation because I feel like you shouldn't have to ask to use someone else's move, especially if that wrestler is retired. If she was still active, I could understand maybe her perspective, but especially since she's the innovator, but she's retired, no. As you can see, Ice Ribbon and Stardom never, for like the last couple years, were never really on good terms. But then you add in this whole Giulia thing, and it just makes it even more complicated because there's obviously bad blood between the two companies. And so who's telling the truth? There's really no way to tell, because especially since these are Japanese companies, we're never going to know. Japanese companies are very hush-hush about anything. I mean, just look at the Stardom incident. We still don't know what that was about, The best guess is this whole this whole theory that Act was being a little bit too disrespectful to her higher-ups backstage, and that ticked off Yoshiko, but it's just crazy, because this is basically the nail in the coffin. This now cements in stone two companies that Stardom is never going to be able to patch things up with, Seedling and Ice Ribbon. This is kind of the beginning of something, in my opinion. Either things are just going to go on the way they are. The promotions that are friendly with Stardom are going to keep being friendly with Stardom, and then these two promotions are still going to keep not working with Stardom. Or, and a lot of people are saying this online, this could cause a kind of backlash between the other companies where they kind of band together to create this like super coalition of promotions that all work together to kind of combat Stardom's rise to power. Because Stardom right now is, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're signing so many promising people. It's getting kind of crazy if you really think about it. Konami, Hana, Miyagi, now Giulia. They signed Kagetsu within the last couple of years. They signed no, they didn't sign any. I don't think they've signed any more. I might be missing someone. They didn't sign any more people, but they brought back Arisa and Saki within the last couple of years. It's crazy. So let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. Who do you think is in the wrong? Do you think Stardom poached Giulia? Do you think Giulia wanted to leave, but Ice Ribbon didn't want her to at that time, so she kind of took matters into her own hands? Do you think Giulia lied to Stardom about her contract being up? Do you think that Ice Ribbon is being the bad guys here? Like, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Unlike Reddit, I will not be downvoting or deleting your responses if you disagree with me. So let me know what you think in the comments, because I really want to know what you guys think about it, because on Twitter and in Reddit, I don't know which people I'm talking about are people who watch my videos. So it's kind of hard to get, a take on it, because I feel like the people who watch my videos, and I'm not saying that like the people who don't watch my videos are not like this, but I feel like on average the people who watch my videos are a lot more open-minded to things, in terms of the the wrestling, the Joshi wrestling world. Not as willing to crucify people or take take stances before all of the information is out. And I'm not saying that people who don't watch my videos are closed-minded and all that stuff. I'm just saying that I've noticed a trend of the people who do comment, for the most part, seem to be well-minded people. So, yeah, like I said, let me know, because if you want to know my opinion, like completely biased opinion, things like that, like I'm not, from this part on, I'm not being unbiased. I don't trust Ice Ribbon as much as the narrative kind of wants us to. Do I think they're being the complete bad guy in the situation? No. But just on my gut feeling, based on all the past events and all that stuff, and how the two companies weren't that great in beforehand, I think Giulia wanted to leave and join Stardom. She told management, and they were unhappy that she wanted to join Stardom. And so they wanted to make it not as easy for her. At the very least, extending the time until they let her go. Because I do think a part of me believes that they were going to let her go, but just not anytime soon. And I think Giulia wanting to be with Stardom, and maybe assuming that Ice Ribbon wouldn't have been so stingy with her release, started making plans with Stardom already, and were planned to show up at today's show. And then she told them yesterday they, dicked her around, and she took matters into her own hands, went to Stardom anyway, and now I don't think Ice Ribbon is lying that she's still under contract. I think she still is. Like, I believe him on that. I'm not 100% on if Rossi actually knew she was under contract still or not. I'm not fully 100% convinced on that. Like, I feel like he could very well just be playing the I didn't know card to try to protect himself. But I feel like he's smart enough to have known that the information would have been out, because he announced that she's signed. Of course, if she's legally under another contract, it's going to come out, I feel like maybe he really didn't know. That's weird. My PS3 just turned on. Anyway, so as you can see, I'm not fully supporting Stardom. I'm more supporting Giulia, that she's not the bad person in this. Could she have handled this a lot better? Yes. But I think I think she might be pretty young. Let's look it up. I think she might be pretty young here. If she is closer to 20, then it would kind of excuse 25. Oh, but see, is this her? Holy cow, cage match. I've had problems with cage match not being fully up to date sometimes, but no. Mio Shirai? That doesn't make sense. Is this her? Ice Ribbon. Dang. Yeah, so she's 25. That's a little too old. What I was trying to go with that was maybe she's, a young person. She's 20, and she was just scared. She didn't know how to handle this because the company that she wanted to leave wouldn't let her leave, and she just panicked and just tried to get out of there any way she could. Basically a screw up any young person could make. But 25 is pushing it a little bit. I still want to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she had no super ill intention. It's clear that she had a little bit of ill intention in the way that she did things, but I don't think it was maliciously done. I think it was ignorantly done. I don't think she knew any other way. She panicked. That's basically my stance. I'm taking her side on this just for now until more information is out, if we do get any. I'm siding with Stardom a little bit. I do think that they might have been doing some shady things. Maybe they poached her, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not fully giving them the benefit of the doubt. And then on the bottom, I'm the least trusting of Ice Ribbon, and that's mostly probably just because my bias, because I like Stardom so much. So yeah, that's my stance. Let me know what you guys think. Bye.